So it's only a few days until the Royal Rumble in 2025, and the men's side of the Rumble is absolutely stacked. The women's side, not so much. But even though the build to the women's Rumble hasn't been as good as it could be, there are still some heavy hitters waiting to join the match. But when talking about what could happen, not just in the Rumble matches, but the event itself, just what should we expect? Let's see how many videos that we can do before Royal Rumble 2025. CM the GMR, aka CM-GRUNT, and here's 10 things that could happen at the Royal Rumble. Honorable mention, Jey Uso or Sami Zayn will be number 1 or number 2. They could even both be 1 and 2, because any other number means they probably won't be able to do their entrances properly to hype the crowd. So that's what I'm expecting. Number 10, Cody retains. Let's start with an easy and pretty nailed on entry on this list. Now, I have potential theories as to why this won't happen and why this shouldn't happen, and there will be a shorts video likely potentially the same day. But Cody Rhodes defends his title in a ladder match against Kevin Owens, and the stellar work that KO has done, I would say he probably deserves a title run. But with WrestleMania so close that you can see the Mania sign, and Cody Rhodes being one of your current top 3 baby faces, he is not losing the title with Mania around the corner. Now, if Sami Zayn challenged the champion, Kevin Owens having the title would make sense, but I don't think that Zayn will be number 1 contender, and I reckon that Cody will be the main attraction at Mania, likely in the main event spot. So as the entry suggests, Cody Rhodes is retaining here. Number 9, Jade Cargill confronts her attacker. If I'm being honest, I'm not the biggest fan of a whodunit storyline. However, I don't have too much problem with it as long as there is a good payoff to the story. And the running theme going into this Rumble is that one of Naomi or Bianca Belair were the ones to take Jade Cargill out of commission. Maybe it's Naomi feeling like Jade is taking her friend away, or that she has most of the spotlight. Maybe with her being married to one of Rikishi's sons, she did it for the EST. Or maybe Bianca did it before her tournament match and was hoping Jade wouldn't be found before her match was over. Or perhaps it was both Bianca Belair and Naomi, but she was the mastermind behind it all. Or maybe it's a more boring pick like Chelsea and Piper Niven. Nevertheless, whoever it is, I suspect that Jade Cargill has been on the shelf and kept off TV so that she can return during this Rumble and confront whoever took her out. Who that is up for debate, but I expect a fun confrontation in the Rumble. Number 8, John Cena gets to the final 4 but doesn't win. If he keeps his word, this is gonna be John Cena's final Rumble. Then after that, he can literally say you can't see me and it will actually be true. So what does that mean for this Rumble? Well, this ties into a later entry on this list, but I believe he gets quite far in this Rumble. He's the first person to declare himself in the match, and it looked like John Cena was full of passion, fire and desire. Or to use another slogan, he was full of ruthless aggression. So I reckon at worst he gets to the final 4, and at best he gets to the final 2 and is eliminated by the eventual winner, which we will discuss a bit later. Also, a cheeky little prediction, but I reckon Cena will be face to face with much of his past. I believe he'll have a face off with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, The Miz, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio, amongst others, some of which I'm gonna keep quiet about due to them being potential surprises and maybe mentioned on this list later. Number 7, returning wrestlers and a potential Mania match. This isn't a prediction, this is a spoiler, because we actually know for sure certain wrestlers that show up in this Rumble are guaranteed to have a match at WrestleMania. Case in point, we know Charlotte Flair will return at this Rumble, and unless something catastrophic happens between now and Mania, she will be at the grandest stage having a match. And I know Roman Reigns isn't exactly a return, but he's not been in a Rumble since 2020, so it's basically a return from a 4-year hiatus with a guaranteed WrestleMania match waiting for him. Now, we ain't gonna talk about how entitled both Charlotte and Roman are in the Rumbles that they are in yet, but it is funny how they both entered Rumbles as champion in the past 10 years though. I digress. Let's look at some of the other potential returns. AJ Styles looks like he could be returning soon, so he could return at the Rumble, and there's definitely a banger of a match waiting to happen with one of the wrestlers on this roster, maybe a returning star. Asuka has been injured since March 2024, but there have been creative ideas for her to return in in some capacity, so don't be surprised if you see her at the Rumble. Unfortunately, we don't have a timeline for her partner in Damage Control, Kairi Sane, but it would be a nice surprise if she came back for the Rumble, and if they both return, that's a tag team match that could be on the cards. There's Jade Cargill, who had a good Rumble before and will surely be in the Rumble leading to the Mania match, but we will talk about her a bit later. Trish could come back as well, and God knows what happened to Lita in the feud with Becky Lynch, but imagine they both return at the Rumble. That could easily be a Mania program. Jordynne Grace has left TNA and according to reports has signed a multi-year deal with WWE, so she should be available for the Rumble. Not really a surprise anymore, but that only opens her up for a potential Mania match. It was announced that Pat McAfee is not going to be on the commentary team at the Rumble, so he's surely going to be in the flipping match. Alexa Bliss tweeted a picture of her holding her baby recently, saying, "If you need me, I'll be here for a while." So that could be her saying that she's not entering the Rumble, or it could just be a swerve. Randy Orton has been gone since Kevin Owens took him out, and although currently KO isn't in the Rumble due to his championship match, imagine Randy costs KO the title, then KO costs Randy the Rumble. I don't think this will be the case, as you will see later on, but it would be fun. Just give KO the belt, man. I don't mind being wrong on this one. And did you hear the reaction that Nikki Bella got on her Netflix Raw cameo? Surely she is going to be getting the Rumble and potential Mania appearance. There's multiple injured wrestlers as well who could return for the road to WrestleMania. Comment down below who you think might come back. And that's not even mentioning NXT call-ups or debuts like Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, Jada Parker, Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson, Ethan Page, Wesley, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, Kalani Jordan, Zarya, the team of Fraxium, and so many others. Can you imagine the face-off between Drew McIntyre and Obafemi? Oh my goodness. Speaking of big meaty men, we have number 6, major returns or debuts, and at least one will have a Mania match. This is a long one, so strap in, but we will get to the meaty men soon enough. However, with all the previous wrestlers that we spoke about, they aren't really major returns in my opinion. Some are surprises, but not major returns, as most have already been in a Rumble, or are just coming back from injuries, or just being called up from NXT. So what about some of these wrestlers? Well, let's start with a pretty nailed on entrant. Say his name and he'll appear. Do you believe in Joe Hendry? With TNA's partnership with WWE and WWE bringing in previous champions in both Mickie James and Jordynne Grace, Joe Hendry is not a wild shout, especially with his amazing reactions down in NXT. And I guess I'll mention The Rock. I'm only saying it's major because he hasn't been in a Royal Rumble since 2001, almost 25 years ago. But if he's free for a Mania match, a title match with Cody could come from a Rumble win. There's also just Alexander, another TNA wrestler, so it's a possibility even if it's slim. But how about some really wild ones now? There has been rumors that Miss Punk, aka Mrs. Brooks, aka the other AJ, aka not Styles, that's right, AJ Lee, has had rumors spoken about her potential return, and I can see why. Her husband is already here and she has the chance to help boost the women's division, so it would be amazing to see her back in the ring. There's also been rumors that Absolute Ricky Stark could be joining the Fed. This guy has been compared to The Rock multiple times and is extremely talented, so it would be a massive coup to get him from AEW, and the fact that we haven't seen him in AEW for a while, it would be a big surprise to have him in the Rumble. But another AEW wrestler who apparently is done with that company is Malachi Black. There has supposedly been pictures for him if he returns to WWE, and this could start at the Rumble. His wife has even just left the LWO and moved back to the SmackDown brand, so he could come through in the middle of the Rumble and then form an alliance with Zelina on that show. But what about Becky Lynch? Hasn't been seen on TV since she lost to Liv Morgan when her contract expired, and there was an expectation that she was supposed to re-debut on the Netflix premiere show of Raw. Her return at the Rumble feels imminent, and I have not forgotten the mini confrontation Wade Barrett had with Drew McIntyre during the Punk feud, but these suggestions don't compare to the wildness of these next two. One is Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan for all the WWE guys out there, but he's not been seen since he was killed by the Death Riders. Remember when he left WWE in a match where he leaves SmackDown if he loses, and he lost, and everyone thought he'd just go to Raw or something, or go on hiatus, and then a few months later he was in AEW. Just imagine if he did the same thing the other way around and returned to WWE in the Rumble. Would be so quality. But I still think he has unfinished business in AEW and with the Death Riders. But you know who else has unfinished business? Big E. I'm not going to talk too much on this as this deserves its own entry, but the way the New Day celebration went down just feels like there was more to come. Also, let me just mention Brock Lesnar. I don't want him back. He shouldn't come back, but I think WWE right now are testing the waters, and regardless of how we feel about him, it would be a major return. As with Hulk Hogan, no? It was CM Punk that brought him up. Anyway, moving on. Number 5, the final 4. After 2 long entries, let's make this one a little bit shorter, shall we? Final 4 predictions. Let's start with the women. I feel 2 of the women I said would return are guaranteed to be in the final 4. Becky Lynch, a surprise entrant getting to the end, and Charlotte Flair, a Royal Rumble dominator who's been in 4 Rumbles and in the final 4 of every Rumble she's been in, even the Rumble where she entered as a champion, and the final 2 3 times, winning one of them, as she's bound to be in the final 4 because of all of that. But I feel like Io Sky will be one of the other women who will be in the final 4. More on that later. However, the 4th is up in the air. Since Rhea Ripley is the champ, Liv Morgan could be the 4th, so if she wins they could run it back at Mania. Could be a surprise pick like Jordan Grace or Lash Legend, but maybe a veteran like Bayley or a legend like Trish. But if it ain't Liv, my money is on any of Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair or Naomi. I'd even go as far as to say that Bianca or Naomi will be the 4th person, and Jade Cargill, who may not even be in the match, comes in and attacks whichever one of them is in the ring. Come to think of it, Nia Jax could even be the 4th person because of her beef with both Rhea and Tiffany Stratton. But for the purpose of this video, let's just say the 4th will be Liv Morgan. I've got more I could say, but let's talk about the men now. And like the women, I think there's 2 people that are nailed on. John Cena and CM Punk, I reckon, are guaranteed to be in the final 2. However, number 3 is probably Roman Reigns, and he could genuinely be in the final 2 or even the winner. But number 4 again is a toss-up, because who is it going to be? Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins are candidates, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso are possibilities, and for personal reasons I'd love it to be Sami. Solo Sikoa could have potentially lost his push, but Jacob Fatu is there and ready to at the very least get the elimination record. So again, for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say Jey Uso, even though I don't believe it for a second. That's my final 4 for the men and the women. Watch me be wrong, but I bet 2 out of the 4 will be right, and that will be fine by me. Number 4, events at the Rumble will set up a Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match at Mania. They're finally doing it, guys. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have finally had their long-awaited conversation regarding Sami teaming with Roman Reigns, and I'm sure that Kevin Owens' response shocked the world when he said that he's not mad at Sami because he had history with Roman and Sami forgives people. However, KO said that he will have Sami's back, and he knows that Sami will have his back. So the question I ask is, what is going to happen to cause KO to stab Sami in said back? Because it's going to happen. KO has been attacking all his so-called friends, including all the people that have worked with Roman. So Sami is eventually next on the chopping block. How do we get there though? Well, as noted in my first entry, Cody Rhodes is likely retaining his title, but one of many theories I have is that Randy Orton returns to cost KO the match. Now, truth is, you can insert wrestler who helped Roman Reigns into that Randy Orton spot, but the point is that Sami Zayn will not help KO. Maybe he does come out and is conflicted and does not do anything to help, or he doesn't come out at all, and as a result KO brutalizes Sami just like he did down in NXT and knocked him out of the Rumble, and that results in another long-awaited WrestleMania match. Not gonna lie, wish it was for the title. KO should win the belt, but Sami doesn't help. Then Sami wins the Rumble with KO staring him down. That's your Mania program. But this is just me dreaming. Just let me have this, okay? Number 3, Big E will return in the Rumble. Like I said, this deserves its own entry. I should really make this number 1 because this one is personal to me and probably to a lot of you guys, but let me cook. At the 10-year anniversary of the New Day and during their celebration, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods turned heel on Big E, and he has not got any retribution. But everything that has happened since they turned on him has felt like it's leading to something. So I genuinely feel like he's cleared to at least be in the Rumble. And I'm not gonna lie, if he turns up, I will scream like a kid because I'll be so happy for him. You go back and you watch the segment where the New Day reject Big E and all their attempts at promos since that day, surely there's got to be some sort of payoff. Not to mention, this is another reason for Wade Barrett to come out of retirement after his retort at the New Day that he was retired. That has Big Man Mania tag team match with Big E written in the stars. There's so much more that I could say, but Big E needs to be in that Rumble, even if it's just to eliminate Kofi and Woods. But above all else, stay healthy and be happy, Big E. We miss you. Number 2, the Iron performances. There's a few contenders that you can have for the Iron Men and Iron Women of the Royal Rumbles, and you have the usual suspects, but you also have those mid-carders that have no hope of winning the Rumble, potentially being the Iron person. I'm not going to name one woman, but I'll name 4. I believe that Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair could be the Iron Woman. Charlotte coming out at number 1 or 2 would make sense, as we know that she is in the Rumble and is being promoted heavily, so bringing her out early to show her dominance is in the WWE way of thinking. Becky coming out at 1 or 2 would be a nice surprise to begin the Rumble, even if her being in the match is kind of expected at this point, and I expect her to be there or thereabouts at the end, so that would make her the Iron Woman if she's in the match early. However, an early surprise takes away from the fans realizing that only number 30 is left, and we have lost all the expectation of her turning up now, and then she's the last entrant. Would arguably be the biggest pop of the night, especially if Liv Morgan is still in the match, who beat her before her contract expired. My next pick is Io Sky. She's made for an Iron Woman performance, and I think she's got a very good shot at doing that, as I think that she will be in the last 4. And even though Bianca Belair is a good shout for who could be the Iron Woman, I think it's a roulette of NXT women. Anyone from Roxanne Perez to Julia to Stephanie Vaquer could all potentially be the Iron Woman, even Jordan Grace, as this would make any of these ladies look very strong. Maybe even an AJ Lee if she turns up, but take your pick from any of these. As for the men, Jey Uso or Sami Zayn immediately spring to mind, because at least one of them should start the Rumble due to their entrances. Could potentially be someone like Seth or maybe Drew. I don't think they'll be willing to let Roman, Punk or Cena stay in the Rumble from the very beginning, so they are not exposed or too tired nearing the end. But I'm going to go outside of the box and say someone like Bron Breakker or Penta, 2 wrestlers that WWE seemingly look like they're trying to build, so I think it could be one of them. But I'd say Penta, as I think that Bron will probably be there to just be destructive and get loads of eliminations alongside Jacob Fatu. Again, take your pick, but they're my suggestions. And number 1, the winner of the Rumbles. Okay, so we'll try and keep this quick. The build for the Women's Rumble hasn't been great. It's felt rushed, and honestly, the only person being built as important for the Rumble is Charlotte. So even though some women winning makes sense based on the current champions, i.e. Nia Jax winning to either have a rematch with Rhea Ripley or to get retribution on Tiffany Stratton for taking her belt, I can't shake the feeling that the energy WWE put into announcing Charlotte's return at the Rumble is an indicator that she is winning. Add to the fact that there's potential reports that the current direction is Charlotte versus Stratton and Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, shows that she's likely winning if this is true. Although I think Bianca Belair is on SmackDown at the moment, so she could be winning to face the Raw champion, which is Rhea Ripley. So although my heart says that Io Sky should win, especially with her face-off with Rhea Ripley on Raw and her back and forth at War Games with Stratton, the facts and the things not going my way point to Charlotte. Prove me wrong, WWE. The stories with the men's though has been told expertly. 6 or more could conceivably win the Rumble. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, and even Jey Uso could potentially win the Rumble. Even someone like Logan Paul, Goldberg or Brock Lesnar, if WWE really want to get under their audience skin. But let's be real, it's going to be Punk or Cena, isn't it? Punk has been cutting promo after promo, and his promo battle with Cody Rhodes was gripping television. Not just that, but his whole thing is literally winning the Rumble, something he's never done, and main event in WrestleMania, something he's never done. And it's literally Cena's last Rumble and his last Mania, thus his last chance to both headline it and maybe win his last title. He's actually the favourite going into the Rumble, and I think it's going to be Punk though. Something will happen to stop Cena, and whoever eliminates him will likely be his Mania opponent, but only time will tell. But I am going with Punk to win this year's Royal Rumble. And that's the list. What do you think is going to happen at this year's Rumble? Drop a comment below and like the video. Check out my TikTok at CM-GRUNT, and yeah, remember to subscribe. I'll catch you guys in a bit.